What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Nightmare Room. I am your host, Nick Nightmare, sitting here with you as always, coming at you with the latest in breaking news in the world of professional wrestling. It's been kind of a slow week as far as news goes. There's been a couple of big stories, and we're going to hit on those. Coming at you first with our lead story being about Paige and Alberto Del Rio's relationship with the WWE and with each other. So, as some of you may know, Alberto Del Rio is finally left the WWE. He's been unhappy for a long time. We may have covered this in a previous podcast, and I was unclear as to exactly what the problem was and why somebody of his stature and somebody who is as talented as he is would just want to walk away. And it seems to be happening more often with the WWE as a lot of their prime talents and great wrestlers and wonderful performers are just leaving because they just can't deal with being placed in a mid-card of mediocrity. It's very sad to me to see these people go and that they're not being utilized to their full potential in the WWE. So let's get into the meat of the story, which seems to me I can totally relate. I can relate, and I'm sympathetic with Alberto Del Rio, because let's get a little personal for a second. You know, I work at a store, and I've been there for a long time, and I've done my very best to try to elevate my status within this particular store, and I had been sidelined this summer with a little bit of a surgery I had to go through. Anybody that knows me personally, you know the deal. I'm not going to get too much into it. I don't want to bore anybody to sleep with the technical details of everything. But, I did my time. I did my recovery. And I had made mention of wanting to be moved up to a butcher position, so to speak, instead of just being one of the schmucks running around doing all the other shit. And, it was known to management. And I was under the assumption that when I returned, I would be elevated to this butcher position and possibly get an increase in pay, hopefully, which is what any of us could hope for when you take a new position or rise in the ranks at where you are. You want to be compensated for it. You want to feel appreciated, and you want to feel like they know how important you are to the system. This didn't happen for me. I came back to work full force. I have all my abilities about me, and I keep joking around that I'm like the $6 million man. I'm 100%. I'm a bionic machine. I'm ready to go. I can do whatever you need me to do. And they just relegated me back to my previous position as they hired somebody to fill the new assistant butcher position within 2 weeks of my return. A return that they were well aware of, and they just, I guess, saw fit to put somebody else there who has no experience in the way that the particular store does things, and just has some little bit of experience in a meat department here and there. Nothing against the guy personally, he's a great guy, but that's where I wanted to be. And I was not put there. And I can't explain to you why what was almost kind of promised to me was not delivered on. This is essentially what has happened to Alberto Del Rio. He left the company for a while. When he was first there, he was on fire. He had his little white towel. He used to come out in the limousine with his own ring announcer. What was his name? Ricardo Rodriguez. Used to come out and do the whole pompous entrance for him. It was fantastic. This was his identity. He was a Mexican aristocrat. He was rich. He was Latino. And then they took all of that away from him. And nobody can tell anybody why. It got the man over. He was a modern-day $1 million man, or JBL, or whoever you want to compare it to, and that kind of a gimmick where you're the rich, pompous ass that wants to shit on everybody. That works. It works. It's worked throughout the history of wrestling. It's a very popular gimmick, and it works. And Alberto Del Rio was very good at that gimmick, and he came across as a real prick, and he looked down on everybody, and he had his own personal ring announcer because their ring announcer wasn't good enough for him. Plus, he did his announcements in Spanish, which only catered to people like him. Like, it was a great gimmick. They stripped him of everything that he was using when he came back to this company. And I don't understand why. He was promised upon his return to be placed in the main event picture, to be a very big top star in the WWE again. He was actually in line to become a good guy, which was the whole reasoning behind his little sudden pairing with Zeb Coulter that happened for about 3 minutes. And then it just didn't make sense because of the character Zeb Coulter would never want a Mexican person as part of his stable. His whole gimmick was that he was a racist. He's a bigot. He only supports Americans. And now you're giving him this Mexican... None of it made sense. It was horrible. But the whole bottom line was that whole thing happened because he was supposed to turn on Zeb Coulter and become a Spanish face for the company. The face for the Latino Americans and Latinos around the world to look up to and aspire to be and be that good guy character for that section of the audience. But it didn't happen. If you watched, you know what happened. He came back and he won the United States Championship from John Cena in his first match back. And that's all they gave him. Soon enough, all he was doing was wrestling Kalisto and other lucha-style wrestlers until he lost that United States title. And then he, again, was just placed in the mid-card and just left to rot, so to speak, in the middle. And none of these things that he was promised were coming through. They weren't being given to him, regardless what the reason was. It doesn't matter if Triple H didn't like his personal ways, which is the reason why he was down on the relationship with Paige. He does not like Alberto Del Rio as a person. He respects what he could bring to the company, but to him it's not worth dealing with his bullshit. Alberto Del Rio apparently is very arrogant and very selfish and likes to party, which kind of led to the whole negative vibe for Paige. Ever since she's been with Del Rio, if you go back and watch, you could see all of a sudden Paige just was not herself. People chalked it up to being injured, but management chalked it up to being in a relationship with Alberto Del Rio. He was becoming a negative influence on Paige, and it was affecting her business status, it was affecting her work in the ring, it was affecting her relationship with the company and with friends, and it just wasn't working. But when you're in love with somebody, you don't see these kind of things. You're focused, your tunnel vision is on, how can I make this good for both of us? I love him, and to him he loves her, or whatever the situation. However this even happened, I don't understand it. Alberto Del Rio's like, 37, 38 years old? Paige is like 22. I mean, good on him for getting a young girlfriend, but give me a break. What is the purpose of this relationship? And if you watch Total Divas, you would know that Paige is not that type of person to let a man run her life. She's been very standoffish with all the men you've ever seen her in her personal life. If it's a character she's trying to portray, she's doing a great job. But the bottom line is, I don't understand why she's allowing somebody like Del Rio to almost run her life. And that's what I think Triple H and the company is seeing, and that's why they have apparently threatened Paige that she will be fired if she doesn't break it off with Del Rio now that he's gone. And that's kind of messed up. I mean, I don't agree with that standpoint at all. Making somebody have to choose in an ultimatum such as that is just not going to lead to a positive conversation to follow. It's just not going to happen. She's going to, plus she's young, she's going to be nasty about it. She's going to be selfish. She's going to be defensive, and she's probably going to walk away, and I really hope that doesn't happen. Paige is one of my favorite women who have joined this company in the last 5 years, or however long she's been around. She's been the bright spot of the women's division right before the women's revolution happened and we had Sasha and Charlotte and Becky come up. Paige was the reason you watched the women's division, and now they are on the cusp of losing her, all due to this soured relationship with Alberto Del Rio. As I said, I get it. I sympathize with the man. I understand they were made promises. He was promised Paul Heyman as a manager. What would you do? You're a wrestling fan. If you were a wrestler, I would murder somebody to have Paul Heyman be my manager. to be my mouthpiece. Paul Heyman is a master. Master. And if you promised me Paul Heyman, and then you said, well, you know what, we changed our mind. We just want Paul to stay with Brock. We don't want to branch him off. We're going to give you Zeb Coulter. I would have walked away right then. I would have said, you know what, you don't fucking take me seriously. And you don't give a shit how I feel. And you promised me this, and you're trying to give me that. You promised me gold, and you're giving me dog shit. I would have walked right away right then. I wouldn't have even let it escalate to the point where now they put him in the League of Nations and he did all this shit for them and it didn't work out. And you could always tell that there was just something off about Del Rio these last 6 months or so. It just wasn't working out. I don't understand how this imploded, why this imploded, if it's just a personal thing because Del Rio can't keep his personal life straight. And he likes to party, and now he had the drugs violation, but he made his intentions known that he was leaving before he had the wellness policy violation, so they already knew he was leaving. He had an opt-out clause that he can leave with no ramifications and pay no penalties as soon as September came if he was unhappy. September rolled around, that was his plan, man. He was ready to go. That was his plan. That's what was going to happen. I'm leaving. And I'm dating your number one diva. I'm sorry, women's wrestler. We can't call them divas anymore. What are you going to do about it? Nothing. I'm out. You treated me like shit. I'm out. It's unfortunate, and I get it. I wish it would have ended another way. And my biggest concern now, because I can deal without Del Rio being around, because they weren't doing anything with him. But Paige was a big star on the horizon, and you're gonna extinguish that star right now. You're gonna just burn it out. You're going to burn it out for what? For a man? That doesn't seem like Paige to me. And I just hope this whole thing comes to a much better conclusion and that she ends up staying with the company. And I don't care what she does in her personal life, but it really does seem that they're right and that Alberto Del Rio is just slowly taking her down. Slowly taking her down. And I can't see it. I don't want to see it. And I really, really hope it doesn't happen. So that's our lead story. And we're going to move on. As we like to do, let me talk to you about my favorite guy over the last few years. My friends can tell you I've always been and always will be, no matter where he is, a CM Punk guy. I loved CM Punk. He was my guy. I was behind him 110%, no matter what the situation was. But there's a big story going around about CM Punk. CM Punk and Colt Cabana, his longtime friend for almost 15 years, have supposedly ceased to be friends anymore. The two having unfollowed each other from Twitter. I don't know why that's such a big deal, but it does apparently signify that they're not in a communicative friendship at this point. And let me explain to you why this is. And some people are going to turn around and say, oh, CM Punk's a crybaby, CM Punk's petty, he shouldn't be doing this, that's his friend, blah, blah, blah. But let me tell you what the problem is, and again, I am in agreement with Punk, because if you put yourself in his shoes and you really understand why he's mad, then you'll get it. You will get it. So here it is. CM Punk is being sued by the WWE. If you don't know this, now you do. Vince McMahon is personally helping the WWE trainer / doctor, whose name is Chris Amon. He's one of their head trainers, because he is filing a defamation lawsuit against CM Punk, and WWE is backing this doctor for something that he apparently said on Colt Cabana's podcast about 2 years back on Thanksgiving Day. Now, if you want to understand why he's angry, you'd have to understand that point. The WWE is actively against him. They are suing him for defamation of a doctor. Like, what can you possibly think to gain from this? Do you need CM Punk's money? What is going to come of this? What is the end result? Why are you even filing this suit? I don't understand what the basis of it is. Oh, this guy said that I talked some trash about him on a podcast, so now I can sue him? There's no precedent for that. What do you mean defamation? That's silly to me. The man went out and told the world his personal feelings about a situation that happened when he had his staph infection and the doctors weren't letting him back, and he thought he can come back, and this one said it was clear and that one said it was, and they just treated him like a monkey throughout the whole thing, and nobody really understood what the real problem was. And the problem apparently came from this trainer and this doctor, Chris Amon. And so when CM Punk put him on blast on the Colt Cabana show, The Art of Wrestling, he took offense to this, I guess. Why this doctor is even listening to this podcast, I couldn't imagine, unless it was somebody else that brought it to his attention, which is what I assume. But who the hell are you to file suit against somebody for saying something? I mean, it doesn't make sense. I don't understand it. Defamation. It's stupid. I can say this country is a free country. I can say whatever I want about anybody. I should use respect, and I should not be slanderous. But if you did something to wrong me, I'm going to be honest and tell people what happened. If you don't want to be honest and you want to keep your secrets, that's fine. I'm going to tell the world my side of the story. And then the WWE and this doctor took it personally, took offense to it, and now this is what we have. We have a lawsuit against CM Punk. For what? For money? For what? It's just stupid. It's a whole stupid situation. And now all it's done is cause friction between him and his best friend of 15 years because Colt Cabana went to a WWE event and was spotted backstage taking pictures with the boys and all this stuff. So Punk got upset. Like, you know what's happening. You're my best buddy. How could you even go there? Why would you even do that? Like, you're supposed to be on my side, and you're going there, and you're showing your face there, and you're being all happy and stuff, and it just doesn't come off right. And as a friend, I would be upset if somebody did that to me. If my best friend knew the troubles that I was going through with my company, and my company is actively suing me and trying to bring me down in any way, and you go there to get your sandwich, or you, like, why would you go to the place that I used to work that's trying to tear me down? You're supposed to be my friend. I understand he has other friends in the world, and most of them work for the WWE now, and that, everybody's free to do their own thing, but you're going to have to deal with the ramifications of that. Colt Cabana obviously, for some reason, did not think this was going to upset CM Punk, and if he did actually think that, he didn't care. And he went ahead and did it. So, again, I can see where CM Punk is coming from. I totally understand. And I hope that this all gets resolved very quickly. The man's got a lot on his mind. CM Punk is about to fight on September 10th for the UFC. He's going to make his pay-per-view debut, and I can't wait to see it. I hope he does well, and I hope he wins this lawsuit. I hope he's able to get it thrown out and just throw it back in the WWE's face, and we're never going to see Punk back in the WWE ring. It's never going to happen, especially after this. I can only hope that he rectifies things with his friend and is able to squash that, because you don't ever want to see that. Nobody wants to see friends that have been through so much together and have kind of carried each other on their backs and in their lowest moments and stuff. Like, when Punk was let go and he first came out, the Art of Wrestling podcast is his best friend's show, and that's the first place he went to his best friend and to talk to his best friend live on the air and put it out there. And now all these couple of years later, you're over there and I'm still entrenched in this battle with them, and they're trying to hurt me, and you're over there having fun and taking pictures. It's a little bad on you, Colt Cabana. I don't agree with that at all, and I don't agree with them dissolving a friendship. I think a conversation should have been able to be had, that they could, come to terms in some way, but, it is what it is, and you can't control people's emotions, and people themselves can't control their emotions, and this is the outcome that you get. So, it's too bad. And my only thing left is to wish CM Punk the best of luck in his fight coming up next weekend. I hope he does well, and I hope he puts all his critics to rest and shuts everybody up that thinks he can't do it, because I think he can do it, and I think now he's also got a lot more fire, and he's got a lot to prove, and he's gonna go out there with intent, and I only hope he doesn't overdo it, and just get caught or get wrapped up real quick because he's being over aggressive. That's my concern. Um, and if you're not watching the Evolution of Punk documentary on Fox Sports One, it's a great show. It's showing how he's been training over the last 6 months to a year for this particular fight. They have some footage of AJ Lee, his wife, who we all know from the WWE as well. She hates that he's even doing this, but she's supporting him. She don't want his face to get bashed in because she loves his face, as any wife would say to her husband. But this is what he wants to do, and she supports him. She doesn't think she's going to watch the fight. There's a lot of interesting aspects of the show. You should check it out. If you're a CM Punk fan especially, you should definitely check it out. Two other small bits that just came across the screen, and then we're pretty much going to wrap this up because, like I said, it's been a slow week. I don't really have much else to say, but the next NXT TakeOver event has been announced for Survivor Series weekend in Toronto, Canada. Good for you, Toronto. You finally get to be part of the NXT crowd, part of the NXT show. Toronto, let me tell you something. Toronto's crowd is sick. If there was any crowd in the world that can rival a New York City crowd, it's definitely Toronto. You can ask Hulk Hogan about that. He will tell you that besides New York City, the one place he would go to stay for the rest of his life is in Toronto because the fans out there are just incredible, and I love watching the fans interact, which makes me excited for the whole Survivor Series weekend. If Survivor Series in Toronto as well, and then they're going to have probably Raw to follow and maybe SmackDown somewhere in Canada. Canadian fans are great, especially, like I said, in Toronto. And now for NXT to get that, it's going to be sick. I cannot wait to see that. And finally, the very last thing is there's been a announcement by the WWE, apparently, that Brock Lesnar and Randy Orton are going to have their rematch at a house show taking place at the All-State Arena in Chicago, which has got a lot of fans up in arms because a lot of people are not going to see this. I wouldn't be surprised if it's possible that they have a camera crew and they end up airing it as a network special. There is no confirmation for that. It's just my speculation. And also, lastly, because I don't really care. That's not a big deal to me. A lot of people are making a big deal about it. Who cares? They're just trying to get people to go to house shows. You make an announcement like this, you're going to get people to expect the unexpected at even a house show, and you're going to get people to go. You're going to get people to want to buy tickets. You're going to drive revenue up. That's all they're trying to do. They're trying to drive the gate up. It's not a big deal. So I'm just going to move on quickly because the final thing we're going to talk about today is that Bill Goldberg's return is in motion. This is something I talked about before. We all know pretty much what's going to happen. I have the very, very clear vision of Shane McMahon bringing in Goldberg as the hired gun to try to battle Brock Lesnar and finally get some retribution for the attack that he suffered by Brock Lesnar. And he's going to do that by bringing in Bill Goldberg. I don't see Goldberg beating Brock Lesnar. It's not going to happen. It should be interesting. As I pointed out before, they have met before. They were at WrestleMania 20, and the match really sucked. It was terrible. But both superstars, like I said before, have already checked out, and they had no interest in being part of the show, so they went in there, they phoned it in, they rolled each other up, and didn't connect well. They just had no passion at all in that match, and it didn't help that the crowd already knew, chanting "You sold out" throughout the whole thing. We all already knew they were leaving, so the fans didn't even get invested in the match. The performers were not invested in the match. It was a crap fest for sure. But if going forward this is what they're trying to do, it could be built right and be very big. And I don't think that Bill Goldberg is going to be the guy that's going to take down Brock Lesnar. It's just not going to happen, folks. Brock Lesnar is a beast. He's the holder of the Undertaker's streak. He's pretty much the new face of that streak. He owns it. It's going to take a real special guy to take it from him. And I don't see that being Goldberg. He's going to be a one and done. He's going to come in. He's going to do his thing. He'll probably end up in the Hall of Fame. It'll be fantastic. I'm not worried about it. And neither should you. It's just going to happen. And I don't see it happening before the Royal Rumble. I don't think he's going to come back in anytime soon. It's going to be a little while before he comes back. And that's my opinion on the whole matter. One last thing I almost forgot about as I'm going through my notes here. I totally skipped over it because it's kind of irrelevant. It doesn't really matter. It's only a story to me because of who it is. And the fact of the matter is that Bo Dallas, poor Bo Dallas, has been arrested for public intoxication at an airport somewhere. This is a shame. This is a shame because this is another guy that I can guarantee you, this is another guy that's pissed off about where he's going. This guy was, I believe, the longest reigning NXT champion until Finn Balor came along. And he was called up before this whole NXT renaissance kind of happened, before the Women's Revolution, before Kevin Owens, before Sami Zayn, long before even The Shield. There was Bo Dallas, and he had this identity where he came out and he was extra motivational and he was positive and he was great. I enjoyed it. I believed in Bo Dallas. I was all for it. Especially when I found out that he is the son of Mike Rotundo, also known as IRS, from back in my 80s and 90s days. He was in a tag team with the $1 Million Man, one of the greatest tag teams of all time, multi-time tag team champions. These are his kids are Bo Dallas and also Bray Wyatt, Bo Dallas's brother, obviously. And I feel for him terribly, but you do not conduct yourself in such a way. As a WWE superstar, you are constantly on the job no matter where you go. When you're traveling, you represent the company. When you're out in the public eye, you represent the company, and you're expected to hold yourself in a certain way. And Bo Dallas definitely didn't do that. He had a few too many. He got a little rowdy at the airport. He was apparently cursing out the stewardesses and things of that nature, and he was removed from the plane and then subsequently arrested. And there hasn't been much really made of it. It's out there, the story's out there, but like I said, they're not doing anything with Bo Dallas anymore. They wasted him by putting him in the social outcast. They should have just allowed him to do what he does, but it's almost like what, again, they did with Del Rio. They took everything that made Bo Dallas special, all his catchphrases, all his gimmicks, all the things that he did that made the fans care about him either in a negative or positive way, and they took it away. They stripped it from him, and now he's just another one of these guys that are just in the show. And he comes out, and it's always for nothing, and the crowd doesn't care because whatever it is you're trying to do with him is not working. But what he came up doing was working. He was getting over, and you took it away. So now, again, he's frustrated, and he's kind of probably handcuffed by his contract, and maybe he's trying to get fired. Who knows? All I know is that's not how you conduct yourself, Bo Dallas. I'm a little disappointed in you. As understanding as I could be, you just don't do these things in the public eye when you are a WWE superstar and you represent, regardless where you work. That's not, if you're on a business trip, you're not going to conduct yourself in that manner, and it's a shame that it happened, and I hope that he really doesn't get too badly punished. I mean, what's the worst they could do? Keep him off TV? Because they're already doing that. I mean, what are they going to do? Suspend him for getting drunk or for getting arrested? It's possible, to send a message to the rest of the locker room. But there's been no signs of that as of late. So, that, again, an unfortunate situation for Bo Dallas. And that's it, guys. That's it. That's everything we got today. Very slow week. Nothing very big. A little disappointed that they dropped the whole Miz and Daniel Bryan angle. Apparently that's totally squashed. We'll talk about that in the next episode of the Nightmare Room. Also, I'm thinking about doing a top 5 moments, and I'd like to know maybe what you want me to do. Let's think about a topic together. Why don't you shoot it back at me? You could tweet me at Nick Nightmare, or leave a comment below in the video, as this is our YouTube exclusive show. And I want to thank you for tuning in again to the Nightmare Room. Do not forget to hit that like button, and if you've been here before and you've come back for more and you have not hit that subscribe button, I don't know what your problem is, man. What the heck are you waiting for? Subscribe. Become a subscriber this way. Don't forget to turn on your notifications this way. Every time a new video goes up, whether it be one of my Sledgehammer Wrestling reviews after the weekly wrestling shows, or this, my own personal weekly wrestling show, The Nightmare Room, as it goes up, you'll be notified. Just make sure to set it up that way. hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, go back and watch the old episodes, do the same. Make sure you let me know that you like my style, that you like where I'm going. Don't forget to leave a comment. Please let me know maybe what you want to talk about in the future, and I will try to accommodate you as best I can. I'm Nick Nightmare. I love you guys, my Sledgehead Army. Don't forget to tune into the Sledgehammer Wrestling reviews for Raw and SmackDown this week. I'll be back at you then. Next week we'll have a little bit of a special on the Nightmare Room, maybe a little sneak peek and a little passage from my documentary about wrestling fans. We can talk a little bit more about that later. Thank you again, guys. Talk to you later.